What is going on, everybody? It's Luke here from Play Like a Jet Live with you, Stadium. We're back to recap a very disappointing weekend. I haven't got Clay with me today. You may recognize the guy to my right. That's Sonny Carton. He is the host and the co-host of of the new show over on U Stadium with Snacks Harrison. Sonny, how you doing, man? I know that you watched the Jets game. You're a Jets fan. Look, it was a tough day.
It really was. I mean, I'm doing great. My team's not doing too well, but I can't complain personally. I just wish we had a better squad out there on Sundays.
Yeah, definitely. It was a disappointing match all around. Obviously, Zach Wilson's injury really compounded things. Before I get into it, I want to thank everyone for supporting and watching Play Like a Jet Live and U Stadium. Make sure you're doing all the things, liking, subscribing, following on all the social media platforms. You can send super stickers and likes in the chat below here on YouTube. Thanks for those guys watching over on Twitch, and support the other shows. You've got Time Out. You've got the show with Snacks and Sunny. Make sure you're doing work and supporting the guys with U Stadium. Back to the Jets. Sonny, it all started for us on defense on the weekend. It was an extremely disappointing performance from a unit that's been pretty good throughout the season. They were poor against Atlanta. That really carried on after the bye. The pass rush was non-existent. They fell to a number of trick plays. It was a really disappointing, performance from Robert Saleh and Ulbrich's unit, who have been pretty good throughout the first part of the season.
Yeah, I mean, any game in which you let up 551 total yards of offense, let alone to a rookie quarterback in week 7, like it's just ridiculous and something that can't happen with any level of respect for a franchise. I mean, I don't know what we're doing out there that a team like the Patriots right now, who, let's be honest, they're one of the less talented teams in the league if you go around. I mean, they have a solid defense, we'll give them that, and Belichick always will. But I mean, there's no excuse to get 54 points put up on you by that Patriots team, especially when you look forward to next week and see what might happen against a better Bengals team. Like, what's going to happen that?
I might be crazy. I don't think Mac Jones. Look, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I haven't done this in the last 4 years. Guys who watch the show consistently, I'm in Australia. I have to get up at 3 or 4 a.m. every week for the games. I went to bed at halftime of the game on the weekend. I'd seen enough. Once Zach Wilson got hurt, I was out. But I didn't think Mac Jones played well in the first half. He threw a ball underneath straight to Quincy Williams, missed a couple of third downs. When it wasn't screens, Mac Wilson didn't play particularly well, and they scored 50 points. It's pretty incredible, Sonny.
It really is. It just speaks to how little the Jets were doing to make them as a team uncomfortable. And I want to know what goes into the games. Like, there's no way they sit there all week and they're like, well, this is the best we can do. Like, we just throw the guys out there and let them live. There has to be some accountability in that locker room going into a halftime where you can make an adjustment, do something, start exploiting some other part of the ball to where that just doesn't happen over and over again.
Yeah, you mentioned adjustments. Let's flip over to the offense now, because the Jets were coming off a bye. It's an opportunity to self-scout yourself and have a look at what you're doing wrong. I was disappointed with how the Jets came out offensively. First drive of the game for the Jets offense, they came out run, 3rd and 7. Mike LaFleur said after the game that he wanted to ease Zach Wilson into the game. Apparently a 3rd and 7 is the best way to do that. I thought they were still in 12 personnel too much. They ran the ball 4 out of 5 times on first down in the first quarter. They're the most run-heavy team on first down in the NFL in the opening half. It was more of the same thing, and that's what was frustrating to me, Sonny.
I agree. And the biggest thing for a young quarterback is just letting them get reps and letting them build more experience in the games. And we've seen so many drives this year stall out in 3rd and outs, or maybe we pick up one first down on a short run and then it stalls out on the next drive. Everything that happens, it just hurts our rookie quarterback. And the more we could keep our offense on the field, the better he could start playing. And when we've only ran about 300 total plays through 7 weeks, the improvement that you want to see on the field, it's just not going to happen.
And you think about that number you just mentioned with 300 snaps on offense. Have a think about how the Jets were on defense 100 times, 100 snaps against the Tennessee Titans. That was in one game. Over the first 6 of the season, the Jets have only accumulated 3 times that on offense. Something, Sonny, that was good to see, a small adjustment, but also was super frustrating. We're seeing Elijah Moore get design touches, because I've been screaming about that over on my YouTube channel with Play Like a Jet, on the show here. Elijah Moore is the most explosive playmaker you have on the team. He had one design touch on a jet sweep against Denver in week 3. That was it. They do it twice on the weekend against the Patriots. You get a 15-yard reception on 2nd down and you get the touchdown. How did it take the Jets coaching staff this long to implement that for Elijah Moore?
There's no answer and there's no excuse if you're the coaching staff. to draft a guy where you selected Elijah Moore, to have the fans as excited as they were coming into camp, to have the hype built around him in the preseason. Everything that came together just to have him get that one good look in the first week, 3 weeks, and obviously give him the ball here and he scores a touchdown, it's unacceptable. And I think it's a theme throughout the league that we're seeing. I mean, other than that last game where the Kadarius Toney finally got those looks and obviously had that breakout game, there was a similar thing that Giants fans were complaining about. Why are you going to draft these guys who pretty much can only be utilized in the open field if you're not going to call plays to get them the ball? I don't understand it. You might as well draft an O-lineman to help out the quarterback or help out some other part of your team if you're going to draft a skill position player and not get him the ball.
Yeah, people have been critical of Cliff Kingsbury. The one thing I'll say is his utilization of Rondale Moore has easily been the best of these kind of gadget first and second round wide receivers. So hats off to Cliff. They're doing a good job. But you're right. The New York teams have done a poor job getting these guys the football. Hopefully that starts to turn, because even though we saw an improvement, he still only had 2 touches. And you can just see how dynamic this guy is. They just need to get him the ball more and more. Elijah Moore is the future for the Jets at the wide receiver position, needs to see the football. The other guy, Sonny, though, that's the future of the franchise is Zach Wilson. And look, it was so disheartening for me to see him go down. But what was even more disappointing than the injury itself, and look, maybe I'm overreacting, maybe I'm reaching, I didn't like the reaction of the team, or lack thereof, because there was no pushing and shoving from the O-lineman. The first hit happened in front of the Jets sideline. There was nothing. After the game, Robert Saleh's press conference, he was asked about the hits. He said he had no problem with them. Where's that line? Where's that enforcer? Who's standing up for your rookie quarterback and saying, this isn't okay, this isn't how we're going to treat my quarterback, you're not doing that to the New York Jets? Where was that from the Jets on Sunday?
Well, I would say it was missing, and I think it goes back a lot longer than just this season, but all the way back to whether or not they made the decision to keep Flacco last offseason and let him go to the Eagles. I think one of the biggest issues with this team was the quarterback room and the fact that you don't have a veteran in there to lead Zach Wilson. Both of the backups behind him are guys that have never proven themselves any part in the league. So when you say, like, where's that guy missing, whether or not it comes, obviously you'd like to have a defensive player on the field be that backup, but they need to have a guy in the locker room to mentor Zach and to keep the team accountable for when stuff like that's happened. Not only so that we have a competent backup to go in case of injury, but also just for these little things that happen in the locker room, where maybe in the future, if we had a guy like Josh McCown we've had in recent years, or other of these backups. I mean, by the way, the fact that we're calling for Josh McCown to be the savior, like, that's a problem in its own. But even if we had one of those guys to maybe say, hey, defense, like, next time that happens to Zach, you guys got to stand up for him, or something in that regard. Like, to have, I didn't even think about that Sunday, but I 100% agree with what you're saying. Like we just were accepted the fact that our quarterback just took a shot and got out of the game.
Yeah, it was disappointing. There was no urgency. There was no frustration. And then to compound it, I thought Zach Wilson was playing pretty well. He looked good. He was more decisive than he was pre the bye week. It looked like going home to Utah, working with John Beck over in California. It looked like that started to pay dividends in the small sample size we saw. But now he's on the shelf. We've got Mike White starting this week, which is just going to be riveting television. Can't wait to watch that. It's going to be must-see stuff. Hopefully it's not like Luke Falk back in 2019, because that was just horrendous. What did you make, though? We already touched on Sonny not having the vet backup through the offseason, through the preseason, and through the first 6 weeks. They go and try and rectify that, and they bring back Joe Flacco, who was already here last year. What did you make of the move? Flacco may not start. Flacco may back up one game. They give up a conditional 6 that could become a 5th. It's not going to. What did you make of the whole move from Joe Douglas?
I'll tell you why I have not a problem with the move, but why the move makes no sense to me. And here's why. If you were, and I mentioned this briefly a second ago when we decided to let Flacco leave and go to the Eagles, but if you're going to come into the season without a guy that you feel confident backing up your rookie quarterback, and then as soon as something happens, you go out and get a guy, that should tell you that they were underprepared in the situation in the first place. Because if you don't have a guy on the roster to go to when your quarterback goes down, but you have to go to some other team, that's malpractice in the first place. And when you add in the fact that the guy we brought back was the guy that we chose to not return to the team just a year ago, makes the whole situation even more embarrassing, because of all the other guys in the league we could have got, you have to go to the same guy that you just got rid of. It really makes no sense.
That's what's been frustrating for me, is because, look, the Jets have been the same old Jets for the last decade, and I think they've made some really nice steps under Joe Douglas. Despite not seeing it on the field yet, it looks better, the product, the roster's getting stronger. It was a huge mistake, and the fact that, as you said, Sonny, you hit the nail right on the head. As soon as he came out and admitted that fault, It was like, well, why was that an issue in the first place? There were so many veteran quarterbacks they could have brought in, from Nick Mullins all the way down to Joe Flacco, who is now here. It just didn't make sense. It was disappointing. And it looks like he may only be backing up Mike White for 1 week because Zach Wilson hasn't been put on IR. So that means they're looking at a 2-week timetable for his return. Flacco may not even be active this week. So look, we're going to see what it looks like. But Joe Flacco is here. An interesting move from the Jets. And now we have to kind of shift our attention moving forward. But look, Sonny, the New York Jets against the Bengals. Let's move forward. I don't think I can talk any more about the Patriots game because it was disgusting. And I don't want to go there again. But is it possible this could actually be worse than last week?
100%. No question. It not only might it be worse, it probably will be worse. Whether or not in terms of the score, but 100% in terms of the execution, in terms of how much we get embarrassed. I bet you Jamar Chase will have 4 touchdowns. 100% it could be worse.
The frightening thing is Joe Burrow has been outstanding so far this year. You mentioned Jamar Chase. They've also got 2 of the better running back, a tandem in the NFL. We've seen Mixon be great. They've also got the good P. Ryan, Samaje P. Ryan's been dynamic on third down. They've got a plethora of weapons. You talk about Boyd, you talk about a number of guys on that offense. It's going to be tough because outside of Bryce Hall, there's really no one in the secondary you can count on. I thought Marcus May really struggled in his first game back, let up a couple of big plays early. And then Sonny, well, let's talk a little bit about the issues the Jets have had in the screen game, in the draw game. The linebackers and the defensive line have been disgusting. This has been an issue for 10 years. What's going on?
I think it starts with health and having the guys that we actually plan to have on the field out there. And obviously, I'm not blaming that on the Jets because you can't control injuries. And I saw a stat today. I don't think we've had our starting middle linebackers play a game since 2018. That's ridiculous. So I think it does start with health. And yeah, I would say, I'm sorry, could you repeat what you said? I completely just left my head.
Just the inability to cover on the screens, to identify, man.
I got you. So yeah, I think, like I said, it starts with health and not having the starters out there on the field. And then I think it continues with when you bring the backup guys in, not having the proper coaching staff in place. Before this season, I have to say, I'm so disappointed in how it's gone because you looked at Robert Saleh, you looked at LaFleur, and you're like, wow, like these 2 guys have a chance to come in here and really do something special in New York. But now that I think about those 2 guys, what experience did they have coming in that made us think that they were just going to be legends? Like, obviously, Saleh was pioneer of that defense, but they really just had nothing to prove us. And I think because of the lack of adjustments that we're seeing on such simple plays like screen recognition, play action, little things that we work on in practice that clearly are not getting executed in the games, I think that's where it has to blame. Those types of things have to fall on the coaching staff.
Yeah, it does. And look, we're going to continue talking a little Jets football. We've got a special guest on the hotline, the co-owner of U Stadium, the co-host of Timeout. We've got Frankie. Frankie, man, if you got me, how you doing? How you feeling about the Jets? Let's let it out.
What it do, fellers? Hey, man, this has been the toughest couple days. I can't even tell you. I'm sitting here drinking a little Pinot Noir, a French one. For all the males out there, when you're on a date or even hanging out with the boys, buy a nice bottle of wine. Don't be cheap and get a $16 one. Get a good one. Be a man. Don't be like the Jets. Be a real man. But guys, let me just dive right into it. I don't know why this isn't being talked about enough. The weapons coming into this season were atrocious from a talent perspective. Look at the running backs we came into the season with. Nick's trying to tell me, who I do Timeout with, and he's co-founder of U Stadium with myself. Look at the running backs. He's trying to convince me on Ty Johnson, Tevin Coleman, who San Fran didn't even want. San Fran will pick up any running back in the world. They'll go to a local high school practice field. They'll pick up someone, and he'll come in and rush for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. They didn't even want Tevin Coleman. And we're depending on a rookie and Michael Carter. That idea for coming into a season with a rookie quarterback and a rookie head coach and a rookie offensive coordinator was ridiculous. Give him a running back. I mean, look at what's happening to our boy Sam Darnold now that McCaffrey's out. He can't even play football anymore. Give him a running back, someone you could dump the ball off to that could take it for 50 yards and it's pads your stats and it makes the defense want to think twice about stacking the box. That's one. 2, the tight ends. What have we always heard about rookie quarterbacks? What is a rookie quarterback's best friend? Your tight end. We come into the season with Tyler Kroft and Ryan Griffin. I mean, they're not helping someone like Zach Wilson. Not to mention the style of play. What does Zach Wilson do at quarterback? He's risky. He likes to improvise. You cannot come into a season and be risky and improvise with no running back that you could dump the ball off to that's going to get you any sufficient amount of yardage. No tight end that can even get open. Our best wide receiver is maybe a second wide receiver on most teams. Maybe. Corey Davis might even fall third on many depth charts. What in the fuck were we thinking coming into this season? And before we even got Zach Wilson, I remember arguing with a lot of Jet fans. I said, hey, everyone, we almost didn't win a game last year. Can we relax and let the kid, if we draft him, if we don't, I was okay trading down and going offensive line. People said I was crazy. Maybe I was. But then I got into the whole let's get Zach Wilson, and I was totally on board, 100%. We get Zach Wilson. What is so bad about coming into the season, having Zach Wilson sit for a freaking year, having Flacco come back, or bring in Foles, or bring in freaking anyone, bring in Hoyer or someone, have them play for a year, win 6 games, get a little confidence, let Salah realize or figure out how to coach, let the offensive coordinator LaFleur figure out how to call plays, then bring Wilson in year 2 when you can do a little bit more. You don't just throw this whole thing together and think that defenses aren't preparing for this. This plan was so badly executed. We tried to microwave an offense, and we tried to give fans this false confidence that we're going to actually do something. Well, look at it now. It's a disaster. I'm not trying to be so negative, but where are we going from here? Actually, Zach Wilson getting hurt, I think, was the best thing that happened for him. At least he'll take about a month and maybe do some studying and figure out what to do. Bad thing for him is he has to watch this guy Mike White, who actually looked good last week, but I don't know what the hell he really knows. But I mean, the plan was terrible, and people are like, you have to start a rookie nowadays. No, you don't. You don't have to start a rookie nowadays. What is it, like in law? Like what is it, like part of the freaking QB commandments? Yeah, if you have Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert, who they give guys like Jamar Chase and Keenan Allen's and Mike Williams is too. Yeah, you can start those guys early. You're throwing in Zach Wilson to the Wolves like the Bears are doing with Justin Fields. The same thing. You're going to ruin these guys' confidence, and they're not going to learn how to play quarterback at the NFL level. They're going to keep making the same mistakes, and then their confidence gets in the dumps. And the NFL is a tough game, baby. You have a few bad games. You have a bad half season. You may not play ever again. For an extended amount of time, you lose confidence in there. So, badly done job by the GM. Joe Douglas deserves some blame here. I wanted him to pick up some better weapons in the offseason. Yeah, this free agency was a little shitty, to be honest, for the most part, in terms of wide receiver and tight end talent. But look what the Patriots did. They get a rookie. They give him Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. They overpaid for probably both of them, but you go and you sign those guys. Belichick, how many freaking wide receivers did he sign? He signed every wide receiver available outside of Galladay and a few others. Like, come on. This was badly done. It's the operations fault. It's not Zach Wilson's fault. It's not Robert Saleh's fault. I don't even think it's LaFleur's fault. It was a badly done operation from A to Z, and this is what you get.
Here's the thing, though, Frankie, about what you just said, and I'm in complete agreement, especially in this regard. You bring in an offensive coordinator in Mike LaFleur, and his whole system is predicated around the run. He wants us to play 12 personnel with 2 tight ends. So you give this guy Ryan Griffin and Tyler Kroft. You give him Greg Van Roten and Connor McGovern on the interior who can't push in the run game. I don't understand how they thought this was going to work. When I saw the Jets roster, look, I know the wide receiver weapons aren't great, but that's still the strength of their skill position. I thought this was going to be 11 personnel, spread it out. Let's get in shotgun. Let's get empty. Let's move the football short around the field. He hasn't done that. He hasn't adjusted. Joe Douglas hasn't given him what he needs for his offense. How is this ever going to work?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And even the play calling, you're having Zach Wilson drop back and want to go deep middle every time to crossing patterns with Corey Davis and what? He's trying to throw these post corners. The guys aren't open. And when they sort of are open, they're dropping passes. Like, and these guys aren't good enough underneath to break enough tackles, get enough yak where it starts to give a defense any sort of fear. I mean, playing the Jets, you could do whatever you want. You could stack the box. You could play back. I mean, what's the disadvantage there? I don't know. It's just it's so easy to play defense against this offense. That's really what it comes down to. And you have a defensive genius in Belichick. He's going to make you look really bad. It sucked we had to play the Patriots so early this year. We played them twice already. We're going into week 8, but it's crazy.
What's annoying is I wish I could respond or give some type of rebuttal, but it's like preaching to the choir. Like the three of us have seen this. No matter who was under center, no matter who was in the front office, no matter who was on the sideline coaching, every single time with the Jets, this happens. And I think, even though we mentioned it before, the quarterback issue is representative of the larger issue. Everything we talked about is about Zach Wilson, about his inexperience, about how he struggles doing this, how he struggles doing that, what he needs to work on. The same applies to Mike White. He hasn't. The first game he ever played in since he was drafted in 2018 for the Cowboys was the second half of the game on Sunday. So everything we talked about now is transferred into a guy with probably 10 times less skill. So that is pretty much the overarching problem at that one position, but it goes into the whole roster and the whole team itself, that we are asking these players to compete with other players when the team built around them is probably also 10 times as less skilled as everyone else.
I got a question for you guys. Let's say Zach Wilson's out 3 weeks. Would you rather the Jets lose each of those games by 30 points, get a top 3 draft pick, or would you rather see improvements from the offense around Flacco and White and them trending in the right direction for when Wilson comes back? Sonny, you go first.
I'd rather see us lose by 60 every game, and I'll tell you why. and here's why. When I look at this Jets roster, not only do I not see promise, I maybe see 3 guys on the team right now that I'm like, okay, they're part of the future. So I don't care if these guys get better. Like, I don't mean to sound blunt by that, but like the only guys I care about showing improvement right now are Quinnen, Mekhi, Zach, Elijah Moore, maybe Denzel Mims if he's even on the team anymore, and a few other guys. So unless those guys are the guys improving, then honestly, I'm what you said. I'd rather them lose by 30, get the first overall pick, and start with a new group of guys.
Frankie, where are you
Sonny,
at?
I respectfully disagree. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. But I think for all sake of the morale around the Jets and our fans and how crazy we are, you know how nuts we are, we need to show some improvement right now. I mean, this is bottom of the barrel kind of stuff, and what's under the barrel is a grave, you know. So it's like let's try to understand that we need to just show something. It's wild to think that we're depending on Mike White, Ty Johnson, Tyler Kroft, who else? I mean, it's not going to be pretty, but we have to show something. I just think for the morale of the team, we're starting to become back into the Gase territory of things, and we don't want to go there again because that's not a good look for all sakes and purposes. You can't stay in that spot too long, man.
I'll ask you this, and I don't disagree. Not that there's any way we're going to get out of this situation, but what I will say is this, or I'll ask you this, I should say. Last season, do you think us winning those 2 games made a difference to the team morale or got the team playing better, or did all it do is cost us Trevor Lawrence? I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't see what winning those few games is going to do in comparison to what the draft pick could get us. And I truly do hate that those words are coming out of my mouth after I've said them last year, the year before that, the year before that, up until when I was in a car seat. So, like, it sucks, but I did genuinely think we should play for the draft pick. Like, that's what we should do.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah. It's a fair point, man. It is. I mean, it was disheartening to see the defense last week just lose all their steam. It does show how valuable C.J. Mosley is. I think if there's one positive element to that defense that we can say, like, we need this guy, he's playing amazing when he's in, is C.J. I love that guy. I think he's a really underappreciated linebacker in the NFL. But yeah, with that being said, I know, man, it's just, you look at the roster, you're just trying to piece together something, and you're right. I mean, you can only depend on guys like Elijah Moore next year and a few others, and it's disheartening, man. It is. I think what needs to happen, though, the team needs to, at this point, we need to figure out a plan for next year, definitely, but we need some positivity. I just saw a comment there, and I think we need something that we can hang our hat on going into next season. And we have to hope Zach Wilson comes into next season with his head on straight. I mean, this is a rough ride. I mean, you saw what happened to Sam Darnold. Who knows if Sam Darnold didn't come to New York, how his career would have panned out? You really never know. This confidence thing is everything for some quarterbacks. There's some guys that are naturally talented, but they can overcome this stuff. But some people they get in the dumps. They overthink everything. You see it with Mahomes now. Mahomes is maybe the best quarterback we've ever seen. He has one bad game. His confidence starts lulling a bit. He's got a second bad game, a third, a fourth. It's like we've never seen Mahomes have 2 bad games in a row. He's on like 4 in a row. He has 9 interceptions. I mean, it's crazy. But yeah, what are you going to do at this point?
Look, it's going to be an interesting month because the Jets have got the trade deadline coming up. Marcus May, Jamison Crowder, there's some guys that could be on the way out. I saw Marcus May's agent kind of trying to backpedal a little bit and talk himself off the ledge and feel sorry for the Jets and all their injuries.
Can we throw Marcus May's agent off the ledge? Is that a possibility? I would gladly do that. That guy talks so much shit. Your client's good, but he needs to shut his mouth. What is Marcus May? What has Marcus May done? Yeah, he's a really good player. We have a couple really good players on defense. Like, chill out a little bit. You know, these agents they talk a big game and then they screw their clients out of money half the time. Guy needs to chill out a little bit. He tweets a little bit too much.
Yeah, you talked about C.J. Mosley against Buffalo 2 years ago, opening day. Jets are up 16-0. Mosley goes off the field, falls apart. You saw what happened with the Pats game. When Marcus May's been out, you haven't seen that drop off, and that's why the Jets aren't going to pay Marcus May. If he was ever going to be back here next year, it was going to be a second franchise tag. That's not going to happen. I'm pretty sure they let him go for a comp pick, depending on what happens in free agency, how much money they spend, that kind of thing. But it's going to be rough. It's going to be tough. We're going to see how the New York Jets bounce back. The Mike White-led New York Jets. Is Denzel Mims going to get on the field? Who knows? Maybe. Maybe Elijah Moore will get another design touch. It's going to be hard to say. Give me a prediction, guys, for the Bengals week. Let's finish on that. How do you see it going, Sonny? Give me a score prediction and maybe what we can expect.
I'm going to say, let's go 40-14.
We're scoring 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I see us scoring 2 touchdowns. I mean, I don't think it'll matter in the game. I'll account those to garbage time scores. But, I just think I don't see how it couldn't be in the realm of what happened last week with a much better Bengals team who I think could beat the Patriots like they beat us. Not actually, obviously, but what the Bengals have shown, what Burrow has shown, up and down that roster is more talented than the Patriots roster. And that's been our issue going up against talent. So I see it being worse, if not worse, score-wise.
Hit me, Frankie.
I am just shocked the spread's only 10. I thought the spread would be like 17 or something. So, I mean, Vegas might know something we don't. I learned the hard way recently with the last couple bets I've made, or last like 10. I've lost like 9 of them, so I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But, yeah, I think the Jets, I think it'll be a little bit lower scoring game. I think the Bengals are coming in really hot. I don't think it'll be as crazy as people think, but the Jets will lose by a few scores. So, yeah, I score prediction, let's say, Jets. I think the Jets will score 10 points, Bengals 24-10. Bengals are going to end up running out the clock. They won't even waste their time or their plays against the Jets. They'll keep it. They'll keep that for the following week. So,
you know what? I'm going to go similar to you, Frankie. I'm going to go 31-10 Jets. Sorry, Jets. Are you kidding me? The Jets are never winning.
Let's go. 31-10 Jets. Let's go, Luke.
Get that shit out of here. The Jets aren't winning again the rest of the season. The Bengals are winning 31-10. I think Elijah Moore may have his second touchdown back-to-back weeks. That's all I want to see. Get Elijah Moore, get Denzel Mims the football, see what they can do, because you need to start making decisions about what we're doing in the draft, what direction we're doing. Are we taking a playmaker? Are we taking a right tackle, a guy like Neal? So let's start to see what we have, who's a foundational piece. But I think it's going to be a little ugly. Mike White's going to be horrible to watch, and it's going to be frustrating for sure.
I will say one thing. Off season, and I'll be out here, guys. I think we need to make a serious run at Allen Robinson. Let's bring in a deep threat. Wilson's got a big ball. Let's get Zach Wilson throwing those post corners to Allen Robinson. If Allen Robinson could do it with Blake Bortles, he could definitely do it with Zach Wilson. Allen's about, 27, 28 years old. Let's get Allen Robinson to town, team him up with Corey Davis, Elijah Moore underneath. Let's hopefully find a tight end. I mean, I know for us that's like finding free Bitcoin on the web these days. But let's bring in Allen Robinson. There's some tight ends available next year. Even if you bring in someone like Jared Cook or CJ Uzomah, who's been playing well for Cincinnati, bring in someone that can at least play the position. Tunyon's available next year. That's OJ Howard, unrestricted. Hayden Hurst. There's a bunch of good tight ends next year. Let's bring in Allen Robinson. Let's get a nice tight end in town. I trust the offensive line. Vera Tucker was actually a great move by JD. But yeah, we need to start building around Zach Wilson because his confidence is everything for us. And I still have faith in Zach Wilson. I actually haven't lost much faith in him at all. I feel bad for him at this point.
Yeah.
And he doesn't feel bad for himself, which I like about him. Darnold started to feel bad for himself and get that guy out. He doesn't have that personality, I think, that you need at quarterback. But I like Wilson. He's got some spunk. Get him some pieces. Let the kid throw the ball. Let him – if he throws 20 interceptions, who gives a crap? We'll have the big plays to make up for it. So that's what I think we need to do. And, hopefully next year will be better. But I feel like we're going to be having this conversation in a year from now. So –
the draft content starting in November is undefeated for New York Jets
my
fans.
God.
It's just incredible.
In October. In October,
Man,
not in November.
I'm out there pumping out videos on Play Like a Jet. Go over and check us out on YouTube. Subscribe. Man, it gets to like middle of October. You just see the views just flying down. Got to start searching for college all 22. Oh, shit, where can I find some film of Neil and these guys? Man, it's a cycle, isn't it? It's killer.
It is.
All right,
so,
fellas. Later.
All right. Thanks for coming,
Appreciate
Frank.
you, Frankie.
Peace in the East.
So, Luke, we kind of mentioned it here how we very well could not win a game for the rest of the season. But when we look at this Jets team, like I'm going to read you off the following names. So in our next games, we got the Bengals, Colts, Bills, Dolphins, Texans, Eagles, Saints, Dolphins, Jaguars, Buccaneers, Bills. So we're not going to be, assuming we lose every game to the Bills, we're not beating the Saints. Our best chances for a win in the next 8 weeks are going to be against the Dolphins in Week 11, the Texans in Week 12, the Eagles in Week 13, and then we got Dolphins, Jacksonville again 2 weeks after that. If we don't win one game out of the ones I just said, I think this could go down as one of the worst Jet seasons ever. Now, in all that being said, it's going to depend on how we're playing. Like, if you can tell that they're not going out there to win games and they're trying to get that draft pick, different story. But we could be looking at legitimately a bottom 5 Jet season ever.
The stretch you just mentioned, Sonny, might be the easiest middle part of a schedule to latter part of a schedule that I've ever seen as a Jets fan. Like, holy shit. We looked at 2019 and they played like Washington, the Giants, and Oakland. Bang, bang, bang. Look, and don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be shocked if Sam Darnold, if Zach Wilson came back and they put together a streak where they won 3 in a row there, because it just doesn't say much about your team regardless. But you're right. If they don't pick up at least 2 wins in that stretch, this is going down as one of the worst Jets seasons of all time.
100%. And it's as simple as that. And I hope the coaching staff isn't looking at it the way we are. I hope that they're taking it one game at a time and just focusing on what they're going to do to try to stop the Bengals, and then the next week try to stop the Colts and so on. But yeah, I mean, it's almost hard for them not to look forward and be like, wow, like if we don't change something soon. I mean, I feel like the season started yesterday. It's already week 8. Like there's not much time left to figure things out. This season's obviously already done in terms of any hopes for anything past not being terrible. But yeah, so I really just don't know where to go from here.
No, I took the Jets over 6 wins this year. That was a terrific bet. I also have stakes in Zach Wilson, Rookie of the Year. More money well spent. So that is looking fantastic. I love the Jets' optimism. I never bet on the Jets. I never do it these preseason bets, but I got suckered in this year, and that's on me.
Yeah, it's on me too. Don't worry. My roommate, Evan, he's probably listening right now. He's going to make fun of me after this because I'm not every single year, like we'll have a conversation and I'm like, no, it's different. No, it's different. We got Robert Saleh and we got new guys and it's different. It's the same. It's not different. It's not different.
It is. All right, before I let you get out of here, Sonny, talk to me a little about the Snacks and Sonny show over with you Stadium on this channel. Talk to me about what you got coming up. Snacks is an awesome dude, a Jets legend. What's coming up for your show?
We got a lot of big things coming up. Obviously, we'll get to the NFL season as it plays out, but we'd also like to get to more like specific stuff and just keep looking at Snacks. I mean, the most fun part of that show for me is that Snacks, like without trying, has had so much that without having to try to create any new content. Like he's done so much in his past. Like it's just a constant information that I can get out of him. So for me, the most fun part is just trying to put him in the situations where he feels comfortable explaining some of the more nuanced things that might have happened in a locker room or something like that. So I would say expect to see a lot more, like not necessarily just about football, but more about like the football life and things that play into it like that off the field. And also just more guests. I won't say any names specifically because I don't want to say anything I'm not sure of, but there's definitely some cool guests coming on soon. So be on the lookout. And yeah, it's just an awesome opportunity for me.
Yeah, if you haven't checked them out, go and check them out. They're on Twitter too, Snacks and Sonny. Check them out there. Check them out over on the U Stadium YouTube page. You can find all the old episodes. They had Slay on a couple of weeks ago, former teammate of Snacks over in Detroit. Awesome show, awesome couple of dudes. Make sure you support Sonny and you support Snacks as well. Anything to leave us with, Sonny? What have you got for us?
Yeah, I do actually. I wanted to ask you this question. So what time do you get up to watch the Jets games?
So, start of the season, first 4 or 5 games, I'm up at 3 a.m. Alarm goes off at 2:50. Get downstairs, get in my Jets jersey, watch the loss, get back to, well, usually, try and get an hour and a half sleep and then go to work. The worst part is it's a Monday morning. So every single Monday morning, I go to work filthy because I've just watched the Jets lose by 30 or throw away a late loss. And then I got to go and work for 5 days. So it's tough.
That's horrible because at least here, like in the States, everyone knows. Like if you show up Monday, you're like, oh, my team lost. But people are probably confused. Like they know what football is, obviously. But you're coming in Monday mornings, like, why do you look like you got no sleep and you just got hit by a car? You're like, my team did just get hit by a car.
Yeah.
But how did you become a Jets fan then?
It's on me. Most people can blame their dad. They can blame their family. They were born into the Jets. I started watching the NFL probably 2008, 2009, maybe 2007. Watched it for a couple of years without really having a team. You know what I saw? New head coach, new young quarterback. I was like, you know what? I don't want to jump on the Colts bandwagon, the Packers. I want something fresh. I want to go with a couple of young guys. I like the energy here. Started well. 2 AFC championship games the first 2 years. I was like, man, fuck, have I picked a winner or what? And then since then, it's just been a roller coaster of misery, really.
That's actually the funniest thing you said because you're right. Like when you did pick them for those first 2 years, it was probably like, wow, like we might have something brewing here. But no, same thing. And I'm sorry that I wish I could have pre-warned you. Like stay away. There's like 4 teams in the NFL. There's 4 teams in every sport. I would tell anyone like stay away. Do not adopt that team as your fan base. And
oh gosh, well, we can only hope for better. We'll see what happens, but it's not going to come in the next 4 weeks, that's for sure, because Mike White is not leading the Jets to the promised land. Sonny, I appreciate you jumping on a late notice, joining the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
Live. Thank you for jumping on. As I said, check out Snacks and Sonny. Check out Play Like a Jets YouTube. All the other shows over here on U Stadium. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow. Everything you can do to support us. A huge thank you to Frankie for jumping on, the co-founder of U Stadium. Also to Splash, our producer, who, like us, had a pretty rough weekend. The Ravens didn't go a whole lot better than the Jets, but we'll leave that conversation for another day because we're about to get the brakes blown off us by Cincy as well. So I'm Luke. That's Sonny. Check him out. Check me out, Luke Grant 7 on Twitter. Appreciate you guys for watching. It's Play Like a Jet Live. We'll be back next Wednesday with Clay. We'll see you.